it will be easier for you to, okay, this is explicit, this is implicit, this is facilitating goods, this is supporting facility, this is information part, right? Take one or two examples, it will be easier to explain also, right, rather than defining it in sentences. So this part we have discussed in the earlier class. One concept what we are not discussed is peripheral services, right? What service package we actually discussed is core services. Peripheral services is, think about it, non-core services for a hospital, right, or for a airport. What is their core services? They are providing you the transportation from point A to point B, right? So how to design that service? Those 5 elements: supporting facilities, facilitating goods, information, explicit services, implicit services, right? All of that will come under your service package for that core services, right? But airport also will have certain additional peripheral non-core services, right? They might have a duty-free shop, right? They might have small shops, branded shops where you can buy items. That is not their main business. Those are their non-core businesses, peripheral services, right? Parking facilities, they get certain parking fees out of it, right? Some business travelers who park their cars overnight or 2 to 3 days, right? So they can avail those parking facilities, right? So that will be your peripheral services, right? Additional non-core services, either you are providing it is free or you are charging for it, right? But that is not your main business model, right? Hospitals main like services providing those hospital facilities to the customer, right? Doctor services, nursing services, right? But hospitals might have a small children's park or a small kind of area where children can play, right? Some bigger hospitals might have like that, right? So in that case, that will come under peripheral or non-core services, right?
Sir, is it
So
same as the augmented product that with the core product, the extra things has been added?
yes, to certain extent, but here what happens, peripheral services might be sometimes free also, right? In augmented product concept, generally we charge for a company generally charges for it. In peripheral services, like I said, sometimes parking facilities might be free, right? In the airport, if you park your car for or vehicles for 2 hours or whatever 30 minutes, that is free. More than that, they will be charging for it, right? But yeah, to certain extent, it is close to that augmented product concept.
Yes, sir.
Uh, so this part, remember the service package is basically for the core service, designing service package. What is your main service facility? Then peripheral services are non-core services, right? What additional thing you are providing? Sometimes you might charge for it. Sometimes you can provide that as a free service, right? This part is important. Let us try to understand the axis part. Then we'll get into the examples, right? So if you see in the left side, right, there is something called degree of labor intensity, right? What does it mean? Ratio of labor cost divided by capital cost, right? Labor cost is the day-to-day employee cost, electricity, all those kind of facilities cost, right? Capital cost is the physical infrastructure, one-time big equipment, physical like buildings and all those things will be capital cost, right? So labor intensity, at least in this case, when you are defining the service process matrix, right, it has been defined as the ratio of labor cost to capital cost. So what does it mean? If your capital cost is higher, right, then labor intensity will be lower, right? Because labor intensity is the ratio of labor cost divided by capital cost. If capital cost is higher, labor intensity will be lower, right? If labor cost is more compared to capital cost, right, then your labor intensity will be higher, right? The second part in the x-axis, if you see degree of interaction and customization, right? Certain services are very standardized, right? Like I say, if you go to a fast food restaurant, right, food menu items are there, you have to order within that. You cannot go and ask whatever item you need, right? Similarly, there will be like kind of dentist, right? So if it is only a hospital or a like kind of a dental hospital, right, service is limited, right? It is very specific, right? You cannot go and ask for other like kind of services, right? In degree of interaction and customization, right? How much you are interacting with customer and how much the services can be customized. A five-star restaurant, if you go, or a five-star hotel, if you go, lot many activities are customized depending upon what you need. Food will be prepared right from the scratch, right? Lower end restaurant, food is already prepared. They'll just maybe reheat it and provide you that, right? With certain additional changes, right? So that part, right? For the same kind of services, different of different kind of facilities will provide you different services, right? Let us try to understand through examples. Degree of interaction and customization low, and degree of labor intensity low, right? So that is known as service factory. So examples are airlines, transportation, trucking industry, hotels, resorts, and creation. So think it in this way: capital intensive services, right? Capital intensive means lot of money has been invested in physical infrastructure. Examples will be obviously airport, right? Airport buildings, crafts itself, right? The like kind of all the like equipment what we need to handle the passengers, handle the luggages, right? Everything is a capital intensive. Lot of money has been kind of spent on that, right? Hotels, if you think of bigger hotels, lot of money in buildings, right? Lifts, elevator, everything, right? All the hotel facilities, monetary amount, capital like kind of investment you made is huge, right? So that's why labor intensity, that means the employee cost, the salary you pay to employee, right? So that is your labor cost. If I divide that by the capital cost, right, it will be very kind of low, right? Because capital cost will be very high, right? So if I take the low labor intensity, that means the capital cost is very high in compared to labor cost, and degree of interaction and customization is low, right? So there is a standard services you are providing, right? So it is not that for each customer you will provide different services, right? Think about a airport, right? So there will be mostly two or three kind of economic, business, and sometimes it will be premium, right? In inside India, if you are traveling inside India, I think maybe only two, economy and business, and most of the times you won't have much difference in terms of services, right? Hotels, resorts, vacation. Similarly, like you might have a yes, go ahead.
Yes, so I get it. Like in the degree of interaction and customization, we have hotels, resorts, and recreation. But sir, yes, sir, we can understand that the customization is very low. But sir, the interaction is very high in hotels or resorts or recreation. Like without interaction, like excessive interaction, how come the service will work?
Again, it is a comparative, right? So interaction means once you go inside a hotel, once obviously 5 or 10 minutes you have to spend in there, right? To book your provide your information, right? Then
Yes,
you are
sir.
on your own, right? So to get that hotel, you once you go inside room or once you get into a resort, right? Not much employee
No, sir,
interaction is
but the
required.
service, but the hotel services are also like, they like the 24/7 services are there, like, and people interact. People just don't sit at the hotel, they interact with us, they like they apply for those services, and so that involves interaction.
Correct. So I'm not telling it is not there. So it is there, but how much interaction is there? You order food, right? You go to a resort, you whatever services, pool facilities, other facilities which are available, you do that. You might interact with each other, but how much employee interaction is there? So I'm not telling it is not there. I'm telling it is comparatively low. Airlines, it is not that you will not interact. You obviously to book a flight, to like kind of get that boarding pass, to like check your luggages. Every step there will be interaction, right? But compare that with a hospital. Compare that with a your service repair station. Unless you go and tell your exact problem, repair services cannot be done. If you go hospital, it is not about only the booking. Once the doctor comes, everything you have to tell. Surgery means all the tests. So the degree of interaction increases in those like kind of service setups. So in hotels, airlines, initial once boarding has been done, you get inside, travel point A to B. In between, the air hostess might come and ask for whatever like food items you require or not. So they are in comparison, it will be low. It is not that it is not there, right? It will be there, but in comparative to hospitals, other service shops, it will be low. Service shop in each step. So interaction means how much degree or how much time you are spending with the employee of the organization, right? Think about think about a hospital, right? If you go for a checkup, right? Every step, whether through booking, with doctor, with nurses, you'll spend a lot of time, right? So they'll understand your problem and they'll provide you that service. If you go to a car service center, in each step, you have to tell what are the problems, then only you'll get that service, right? So it is not a customized service, which is okay, I'll provide you the low, like kind of whatever the economy or premium, right? Each customer will come, each customer will have a different car problem, right? Some might have a smaller problem, some might have a bigger problem. So that part will be customized. So for that, interaction is very much needed. Here, if you go to airport, you only have 2 or 3 facilities, right? So in that sense, hotels, again, maybe 2 or 3 kinds of room, standard room, luxury or a premium room, or something other type of like a single room or double room, right? So that is already fixed. So you cannot, so they will not change the setup based upon your requirement. So for that, interaction will be very less. Obviously, to choose that, there will be certain interaction. They'll say that, okay, we have these kind of room facilities, which room will be would like to take, right? For that, obviously, they'll tell you these are the facilities available. But hospital, one customer will go and there might be a small issue with like kind of cough and cold, right? Some some patients might have a bigger problem, right? Lot of interaction might happen, right? In each step. So that is about your high interaction and customization. Is it clear?
Okay, sir, one more thing.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good, good.
So it's why airlines is there in the first in the service factory and not in mass service?
Not among?
So why airlines is there in service factory and not in mass service?
Because the capital, so degree of labor intensity is defined as labor cost divided by capital cost, right? So if I think about investment
Yes,
in airlines, invest in airline infrastructure, that is like huge in compared to labor cost. I'm not telling labor cost is not there. The amount of manpower, ground crew, like pilots and everything, they take a salary, but in comparison to capital cost, it is less, right? So that's why it is in the service factory.
yes, sir. Okay.
So service factory examples like we discussed, airlines, hotels, transportation, trucking industry, resorts, right? So if you think about labor intensity is low, right? Again, hospitals, service centers, you have to have a huge investment, right? So here again, auto repair, we are thinking of big service facilities, not our regular small like kind of local shops, right? Auto repair, again, the examples are basically bigger own branded service centers, right? Where they have huge equipment, huge establishment, right? So there, if you see, again, the labor intensity is low. That means the capital investment is high. But here, what happens? The customization and interaction part gets higher also, right? Because for each customer, services need to be customized. Customer need interaction, employee and interaction. Basically, we're talking about the employees, right? The service repair personnel, or in hospital, those doctors, nurses, or the other staff, right? To get that services, right? So that is a service shop. If you go down, come below mass service. Mass service is where degree of labor intensity is high. That means in comparison to capital investment, labor cost is also comparatively higher, right? Think about retailing. They also wholesaling, schools. Obviously, they have infrastructure, right? So it is not that they want to spend money on capital investment, buildings, libraries. So if you think about schools or university, a lot of money has been spent on buildings and whatever the capital kind of libraries, all those facilities, right? But they also have a huge labor cost, right? Think about premium schools, right? They talk about student to teacher ratio is 1:5 per 1:3, 1:10, right? So a lot of premium schools advertise in that way, right? So what does it mean basically to provide services to customer? We have lot of labor employed, right? So that's why labor cost also increases, right? Retailing, right? Lot of labor need to be employed to provide like Big Bazaar, Reliance Retail, those service personnel working inside, working in the background, right? So obviously there is a lot of investment in capital also, right? But think about if I compare a airport with a this kind of retailing services, Walmart, right? Obviously we have to compare the similar. structure, right? If you think about Mumbai airport with a Walmart in Bangalore or Walmart in Mumbai, right? So if you compare in same way, right, lot of labor being invested in those kind of retailing services, right, in comparison to capital cost. So in airline, what happens? Capital investment becomes higher. There will be labor cost involved, but in comparison to that, capital cost involved is much more higher. Here, almost even not equal, it is comparable, right? The labor cost each year, salary, works, whatever benefits you provide to employees, right? That is much more in, like when I say much more is basically that is also a huge amount, right? And that can be compared with the capital investment. Schools, lot of money invested in salary of teachers, professors, administrative staffs, right? Year on year, right? Retail aspects of commercial banking, right? So all those regular banking processes, right? Lot of employees get involved to provide those like kind of business to like bank to customer services, right? So those will come under mass service, right? Again, the degree of interaction and customization might be low, right? There is a standard kind of structure, standard schedule which is provided. It sometimes it can be customized. Think about schools, right? Some schools, premium schools, right? They categorize student depending upon like kind of student requirement. They provide additional services, right? So in that case, it might get into a professional service, right? But most of schools, again, they don't look into the what student requires or what is the like kind of students' ability to get those like kind of education, right? At that stage of point, right? So there is a standard service of education provided to all the students, right? So again, like I said, in some schools, some premium schools, where they put a lot of investment in acquiring lot many teachers, lot many kind of administrative staffs. So they segregate. I'll not say segregate. They again, depending upon students' ability, they create those groups and provide those specific services to different kind of service students. Right. In that case, they'll get into the professional service. Right. In some schools, if you see, they like if students are basically much more extracurricular focused, right? They focus, they will appoint teachers providing those services to those group of students, right? But that doesn't happen in our regular schools. Most of the regular schools, colleges, what happens? There is a standard set of services. No matter what student require, what students need is, that services will be provided, right? So that's why it is termed as mass service, right? So again, I'm not telling the interaction is not there. Interaction is low in the sense whatever the student is required, right? We have only standard set of services, right? So those only will be provided. But think in this way, professional services, right? Labor intensity again high, lot many labor. So when you think about labor intensity, it is just a ratio, right? In comparison to like kind of capital cost. Think about a lawyer's office or a physician's office. I'm not talking about hospital. In hospital, what happens? Lot many investment. Think about a physician means one dentist or a one small physician shop. Chemist shop, right? Lawyers, like kind of a lawyer's office, one or two lawyers or two or three lawyers, right? Accountants, like C office, those people who provide all those income tax kind of return filing and all those tax laws and every other things. Architects, right? So in that case, what happens? Providing those services, right? You have, so in again in comparison, you do not spend a lot in you might rent a space, right? A lot many like kind of lawyer or lot many accountants, they just rent a space because they need not have to pay a lot of money on capital investment. What goes in basically managing the firm? They might have 20 to 30 employees, 4 or 5 lawyers, and they are providing that services, right? So that's why the salary cost of employees is almost comparable to rent or the whatever you provide on capital cost, right? So capital cost will be in comparison low, right? So that's why your degree of labor intensity is high. Degree of interaction and customization is also high, right? Think about your barber shop. There will be 2 or 3 barbers, right? Most of the time they don't own that space. They will be just renting that space, paying 10,000 or 15,000 rent a month. but labor cost itself will be monthly for 3 barbers, maybe 25,000 or 30,000, right? So think in that way, right? Your regular barber shop. So again, degree of interaction and customization. Every time you need go, depending upon your requirement, every customer, right? These services will be provided. A lawyer's firm, small lawyer's firm, depending upon the requirement, the services will be provided, right? So for each customer, the services are customized, and to customize that service, the interaction level will be higher, right? So in that case, that will come under professional service. So this is the classification of different service systems. Any doubt on this? Okay. So let us get into some of the kind of how service industry or the service sector works, right? What are the typical? So here we are not looking into particular service, we are looking into the service sector and industry, right? If let's say you want to start a service company, right? Again, in some cases it might be not true, right? All the points might not hold true, but most of the service companies, right? So this concept what we are going to discuss, right? All together, all the service companies, or we are discussing about service sector or service industry, right? Relatively low overall entry barriers. So what does it mean? Anybody can, like, if kind of, let's say Zomato, Swiggy, right? It will take time, right? To, so it is something which is not better. Think about the product, right? Or think about laptops, right? To build a laptop, right? Suddenly you cannot go and kind of get that technology, get that plant, get those equipment. It will take a lot of investment, right? But tomorrow, let's say you want to, let's say I want to start a coaching services. I just want to put a like kind of rent a space, put some advertisement, some chairs, tables, like kind of some additional IT facilities, and it will be done, right? So what happens? Most of this, again, it cannot be done for all the services, right? So that's why you have to think in this way, that these points will be applicable for some services. So we are looking into whole together service industry, right? So if I say that I want to kind of today want to start a delivery services, right? Yes, I might start very low, but obviously I cannot just compete with Zomato or Swiggy, right? It will take a lot of time, lot of money to be provide that kind of services, right? But education, right? So I need not have to build a lot of infrastructure, lot of building, lot many buildings to provide education, right? So that's why if you see like YouTube, Coursera, all those Udemy, right? They kind of leveraged on the internet and to provide almost similar kind of education facilities, right? Because that is not patentable, and anybody can, not anybody, but most of the people can provide those kind of services, right? It doesn't require a lot of money and capital investment, right? Innovations can be easily copied by competitors, right? I think this concept of providing online education, right? Salman Khan started back in 2006 or 7, 2008 maybe, if I'm not wrong. Later on, MIT, all those kind of, they started providing kind of free services. Long after that, Udemy, Coursera, and right now Byju's and all those players came into market, right? So it is something not that he will patent, okay, online education is patented, so nobody can copy it. But it will happen with product, certain medical technologies, let's say CT scan technology, MRI machines, your laptop, certain material, right? Apple iPhone, certain that software, right? So those are already patented, right? Little bit of infringement, other company will put a fine on you, right? But services, suddenly, let's say some barber is cutting a new style, so it is not a patent, right? Other people can copy it, right? So that's why service, due to it is intangible nature, right? It is not patentable. So if it is not patentable, most of the like competitors can copy it, right? So that's why relatively low overall entry barriers. Economy of scale limited. So what does it mean? You need to have most of the times human employees, right? Uh, to provide those kind of services, right? Think about a barber shop. If let's say that barber is excellent, or let's say doctor is excellent, but he is one doctor, right? He might be in a day might like look into 50 or 100 patients, not more than that, right? But think about a product. If the product is good, suddenly demand increases. The product can be manufactured a lot, inventory you can put into inventory, send across wherever the need arises. But the service of a doctor, I cannot copy a doctor service, right? Or a barber service, or a, like, let's say hotel, let's say very good chef is there, and he is preparing or she is preparing excellent food, but there will be limit to it. But in product, if that product is designed right, I can copy that design, and that if like everybody is starting buying that product, right, from the same manufacturing plant, I can manufacture lot many product, right? So that's why economy of scale. So economy of scale, you understand, right? Once your kind of demand of the product increases, right, your manufacturing capacity or the like kind of number of product you are manufacturing will increase, right? Once that increases, right, so that will at least whatever fixed cost, whatever the infrastructure cost you have put in that buildings, put in that manufacturing facilities, that will be recovered quickly, right? So let's say I put a manufacturing plant of 10 crore, right? So to get me back that 10 crore, right? At least every year I should be able to sell 3 crore or 4 crore, so that within 3 to 4 years I should get back my money with interest, right? Otherwise, why should I invest 10 crores of rupees, right? So that's why in any product company, right, it is very much important to reach that economy of scale, because a lot of investment get into this capital kind of manufacturing, assembly, channel distribution. But in this case of services, what happens? Because most of the times it is limited by human kind of employees, right? Wherever you go, replicating that becomes difficult, right? So that's why what happens? You try to franchise it. You try to provide those services. You try to train your employees, standardize the training process. McDonald's, KFC, those are the very good examples. What they do, they have a standard process of preparing food. They have a standard process of acquiring raw material, right? So what they do, so that part they have standardized. They train employee. Let's say if you take a franchisee of McDonald's or KFC, right? So they'll train your employees, right? They'll provide you all those kind of whom to, like, what kind of raw material, and they have a standard that you can take those raw material from only these vendors, right? So it is not that okay, I'll take the like whatever the uh, bread and all those materials, raw materials I require, I can, to save cost, I can take from anywhere. So they will have a standard list of vendors from whom you have to take the raw material, right? There will be standard instruction how to train employees. The main from the main organizations, people will come, who will be there for 1 week or 2 weeks to train your employees, right? So in that case, what happens? So the main organization was in USA, right? But the process, the raw material part, they were able to standardize it, right? And they provided those trainings to employees, right? Across world, right? Across different countries, and they were able to provide those kind of services, which was not earlier possible, right? Amazon, right? If internet was not there, Amazon and all those whatever we are talking about, those kind of e-commerce companies would not have worked, because they might be a very, very good service provider, but they would have been limited in US or smaller like space, right? Think about a small book shop, right? They might have a different rare collection of books, but if they don't get into internet, so by leveraging internet, they can like kind of deliver those kind of services across world, right? Education, right? There might be a very excellent professor in Harvard or MIT or anywhere in the world, right? But that service will be limited to only that those students, right? Right now, due to internet, right? If you go to kind of Coursera or Udemy, there will be many excellent professors across world whose services, which kind of knowledge you can gain because due to internet, because that services of education, we are able to get that education through internet. If internet was not there, that could not have been leveraged, right? So that's why internet is one way to leverage or extend this kind of services. Erratic sales fluctuations, this part we have discussed in the last class. Think about movie halls, think about even the hospitals also, right? Cold season comes, cold and flu, rainy season and cold seasons. So arrival of patients increases, decreases, right? Depending upon the location, depending upon the seasons, right? Most of the cold, obviously last 2 years has been different, right? But before that, rainy and cold seasons will come in. Many people will get ill due to fever and cold, and they'll go to hospital. Summer season, not that much, right? Similarly, movie halls, fast food restaurant, weekends, lot of kind of crowd. Weekdays, not that many crowd, right? So that's why erratic sales fluctuation. You have standard set of employees. You are paying everyday salary, right? No matter whether 2 customers come, 20 customers come, you have set of employees whom you are paying, right? But your sales will keep fluctuating, right? In the time of the day of the week, time of the day means if you see the restaurants, right? Fast food restaurant might be in the evening time, it will be crowded. Lunch time, daytime, not that much, right? Again, depends upon the fast food restaurant. If they're close to offices, colleges, it might be like crowded during that time also, right? So that is the meaning of erratic sales fluctuation. No power dealing with buyers or suppliers, again, depending upon the service farm, right? If it is a small shops, right? Because most of the service farms like garages, small barber shops, small dentist, again, like depends upon farm to farm, right? It cannot be true for all the farms. Think about a hospital. Think about Apollo Hospital and think about your local physician, right? A small doctor having a small setup. He won't have lot many bargaining powers to buy the equipment, to buy the like whatever he needs to practice, right? For a barber shop, or a hotel, small restaurant, when they are buying the raw material, meat, vegetables, and all those things, they won't have much bargaining power. Small hotel in your hometown, but think about bigger hotels, 5-star hotels. They will have a lot of bargaining power. That means when they are buying raw material, the food items, the toiletries, the like any item they require for their hotels, they will have lot of bargaining power, right? Because there is a big chain of hotels. Think about Ginger Hotels or the Swasti or the Taj, right? So when they are buying, it is not that only one Taj hotel is buying somewhere, right? All the Taj hotels are ITC grant, right? So all the ITC hotels, they will have a central procurement agency, right? Team who is buying all the items for all the hotels, right? So they will have a lot of bargaining power. But a single hotel, when they are buying items for their hotel or the restaurant, they might not have kind of much bargaining power. So this example or this line item is related to that, right? Most of the service items, service farms will be small, right? If it is a bigger farm, obviously they will have a lot of bargaining power, like chain of hotels, hospitals. If it is a hospital chain like Apollo, obviously they will have a lot of bargaining power whenever they are buying equipment, buying raw material for the hospital. But a smaller hospital in your hometown, small private hospital, they might not have that much bargaining power, right? So that is the meaning of that. Any doubt on this 4 point?
So in the first point,
Yeah, go ahead.
this is in the first point, it is written that service innovations are not patentable. So if there's like if there's new kind of service, so nobody can patent it. Like nobody will have the copyright to that particular service.
So I'll not say it cannot be done, but it is difficult, right? So Amazon did this. Amazon had this one-click payment, right? So they have patented
Yes.
it. So there are certain examples where they have patented it, but not all of them, because patenting it is a difficult process, right? It is So when I say difficult, you have to define what you need to patent, right? So let's say you are going to a restaurant, the food quality is very good, right? But how to patent it? So because it is lot many times it is intangible. Unless you can show that okay, this part of the process is tangible, that nobody should copy, then you can patent it. Or if you go to a barber shop, if you go to a doctor, because that experience part, knowing how to treat a customer, knowing how to kind of understand what kind of difficulty a customer is facing, that again very difficult to patent it. But again, if you can describe it properly, set up a process for it, you can patent it again.
Okay, sir.
So that's why most of the organization go for this trade secret, right? So if you remember, the difference between trade secret is something like process which I don't want to show. Patent means I'll show to the world. This is something. This is the process I'm following. No other company should follow it, right? Or let's say this is the material I'm using. No other company should use it, right? So in that
Yes, sir.
case, for 20 years, unless that other company is paying you certain fees, they cannot use those kind of technology or those kind of raw material. Trade secret is something they will not at all show, like let's say KFC or let's say Coca-Cola, whatever way they prepare food, right? So there might be a standard process, but they keep it secret. They don't show it. Otherwise, because if you make it patent, if you create a patent after 20 years, there is a time limit depending upon the patent, right? It will be free to all. Yes, sir.
Sir, can you explain once erratic sales for fluctuations?
Think about a movie hall, right? In the last class we discussed, right? Weekend it will be crowded. People will be like kind of running, or sometimes it will be sold already before customers arrive in the movie hall, right? Weekdays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday till Friday, or maybe till Thursday, the number of or the crowd will be very less, right? Think about a restaurant. Most of the times, evenings only they will be crowded. Daytime crowd will be very less. Similarly, restaurants also weekend and weekday. Weekday less crowd, weekend much more crowd. All those fast food restaurants or the regular restaurant, right? Your resorts, hotels, right? Holiday seasons, the Christmas, year ending, right? Much more crowd. Regular summer, rainy, less crowd, right? So that's why these are erratic sales fluctuations. Sometimes it will be very high. Your service facility will be overcrowded. Sometimes there won't be any customers.
And sir, can we take an example of Big Bazaar, sir? Because they usually give a Wednesday Bazaar discount. That on that day there is a lots of rush in the Big Bazaar, sir.
Yes, like kind of even if you think about those retail shops, right? Most of the crowd again might be coming in the evening time, right? Because if you go to the shopping malls, right? Most of the times, again, those will be also Saturday, Sunday, right? That's why so one of the strategy service firms use is discount, providing discount in this kind of weekdays, because they know that anyhow people will come and buy in Saturday, Sunday. If you go to Big Bazaar, Reliance Retail also, most of the weekend, they'll be crowded. So now the problem is how to attract those same customers in weekdays. So they start providing discount. Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, so that what happens, those customers who can come rather than going in a weekend, they can buy that with certain additional discount. They'll get some additional discount. So that is the incentive for them. They'll go and buy those items in Wednesday or Thursday, whichever day is the discount. Hospitals, cold like kind of rainy season, winter season, lot many patients will be there. Obviously, it is not that summer season there will be no patient. Regular accident and all those diseases, regular diseases will be there. But I'm just talking about the fever and cold. Lot many patients with fever and cold will be much more in winter and rainy seasons, not that many in summer seasons. It is not that other diseases will be seasonal. I'm just talking about the cold and flu. Is it clear or any doubt?
No, sir. Clear, sir.
This part we have discussed product substitution for service in last class. Some of you gave very good examples. This education services, right? Right now, lot many recorded videos. You just have to subscribe that. Watch those videos on whichever platform you have, right? So rather than having this kind of services, which is simultaneous, right? Teacher is right now, I'm in front of a laptop, you are in front of your laptop or mobile phones, and this interaction or this education service is happening, right? So I can record this part, I can convert this into a digital product, right? I can say that, okay, this session, this is a digital product. And again, I can put into that platform, right? So in that case, this education service can be converted into a product. I think some of you gave an example of a Grammarly, right? Grammarly or those kind of softwares, right? So they check your grammar, they do those sentence correcting part, right? Generally, if you want to publish in journals, right, they need to follow a standard structure, right? Standard grammar, right? So that earlier people used to send to editors, those people who will go through your research paper, correct all the mistakes, and get maybe 5,000 or 10,000 rupees charge for that, right? So that part has been taken by a software, right? There is a software product like Grammarly which will do that. You obviously you have to pay for that, but again, so that services of editing, right? Editing services or grammar correction services, right, has been moved into or substituted by a product called a software product called Grammarly, right? So I told an example of those health checkups, right? Blood pressure, sugar, right? Earlier, 20 years back.
Sir, Zoom classes instead of physical classes can be used.
Zoom is a platform, right? So I'm not changing that. So it is rather than having a physical where all the like teacher or student are physically present, right? So I'm using that as a platform to provide my services, right? That will become my layout, right? So that is a rather than a physical infrastructure, I have that digital infrastructure, facilitating layout, right? Facility layout. But if you think about, I record these videos, right? And I put in a platform like whichever YouTube or somewhere here, right? Later on, students who are not present in this class, right? They can watch those videos, they can get that education, right? In that case, what happens? So this part of education services, I'm recording it and providing that to like kind of other student, right? So so that recorded video will become a product, right? So in the Zoom class, if I do not record now, so this part is lost. Next time, same session if I take, it will be obviously different because some different student will be asking different questions, right? So just imagine it in this way. So right now, whatever sessions, whatever I am talking, whatever you are asking, if I take the same class tomorrow, it will be completely different, right? I might give different examples, you might ask different questions, right? But if I record now, if I record this session right now, that is a fixed product, right? So that recorded part is fixed. So that's why I convert this service part to a product. Zoom is only a platform, right, to provide this service. Zoom is not a product itself. Well, Zoom is not that services part I am converting to a product. Right? Clear or any doubt? Product substitution for service. ATM services, right? Earlier 20, 30 years back, when ATM, at least in India, when it was not there, right? If you want to withdraw money, obviously online payment was out of question, right? Internet itself was not there. So if you want to withdraw money, you have to have a long queue in front of that SBI or whichever bank you have it account in, right? Now what has happened? They have started, like all the banks have these ATM machines, right? Rather than going to a bank counter, right? So that has been converted to a product, right? That service of providing money or withdrawing money, right? Right now it is the ATM machine. You go there and withdraw money, right? High customer loyalty. So this part again we have discussed, right? We have discussed low entry barrier, right? Relatively low overall entry barriers. So this is the opposite statement to that, right? Some services, right, which are very personal in nature, right? no matter how much equipment, no matter how much technology investment you have, right? There will be always certain loyal customer base to those small services, right? Think about those local shops, local garages, local restaurant, right? There might be many big restaurant like branded KFC, McD, right? Even then, those local shops still go on, right? Obviously, the price is one factor. Other than that, there will be always a loyalty. Barber shop, hospitals, smaller like kind of, I'll not say smaller doctors, doctors having like looking into like your health history or who know your health history for last 10 years or 15 years. Regularly, you go for a checkup to them. So there might be Apollo, there might be big branded Fortis healthcare in your or Manipal. So big branded hospitals in your all the facilities will be available. But most of the people will go to the regular physician, right, for a health checkup or anything problem happens in a family related to health. They prefer to go to a regular doctor. He might not have all world class facilities, so all the like biggest equipment, but people still go there, right, rather than going to a bigger hospital. Right? So that is the meaning of high customer loyalty, because these kind of implicit services, right? That's why I was talking about those implicit services, that personal kind of touch, that interlinking between that who is providing service and who is getting service, right? So that part, which is very intangible, right, which is very implicit services kind of thing, that builds a loyal customer base, right? So established firms trying to get into that, lot of hotels, right? Taj, Ritz Carlton, right? So they try to provide those kind of personalized services, right? If you are a regular customer, right? So they try to build that rapport with you so that you keep traveling with them, right? Or you keep using that services. These airline services, right? Not for the economic customers, but for the business customers. So if you travel once in business, any airline, right? They'll try to provide you additional gifts and all those things to build that base, right? Because they get a lot of profit from the business travelers, right? So airline industry will be looking into those business customers, focusing on those business customers to make sure that they always travel with them, right? Is this clear or any doubt on this? Last one is strong exit barriers. Again, it might not be true for always. I do believe that most of the service firms will have low or weak exit barriers. That means if I want to close shop because not lot of capital investment is there, they can just close their shop, right? Barber shops, if a small physician, not a big hospital, obviously, or a whatever education, somebody is providing coaching services, right? Not lot investment has, so he or she might be renting the space, then those whatever table, chair, and all those things. After 2 months, he might, if students are not there, they might close the services, right? If they do not have a lot of capital investment, right? But in other way around, there are certain services which are family owned, right? Which has been continuing for lot many years, right? Lot many services do not make profit, but because it is a family business or this is a related to, let's say, doctors. So in my town there is a doctor, so like now he is not no longer alive, but even I think last till last 2 to 3 years he used to charge 20 rupees or 25 rupees from all the patients. So obviously profit is not the motive, right? Because he still did till the last moment, because whatever he wanted to serve people, right? When other doctors used to charge with same experience, with same kind of services, they used to charge 500 or 300 per patient, right? So because this personal attachment, most of the services where this personal attachment is there, right? Most people, even when they make loss, right, they won't close this off, right? But if you look into the capital investment part, in that case, it will be obviously a weak exit barrier, because you do not put a lot of money invested in your monetary wise, right? But lot of emotional involvement. Monetary wise, lot many service companies, small shops, won't have much capital investment. If they are making loss, they can close this up. So due to this COVID, I used to like kind of repair my bike in one garage regularly, right? That shop is no longer there. Once I come back to Bhubaneswar, that shop is no longer there. Obviously, for last 2 years, he could not sustain the shop and he has closed down the shop, right? But there will be certain services which will go on those emotional. So these services I have been doing for last 10 or 15 years, no matter what, I'll continue with that, right? So that emotional investment is little bit of create a strong exit barrier. Otherwise, if you just look into the capital investment, right, in that case, it will be a weak exit barrier. Is this part clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is our main kind of focus area in today's class, elements of strategic service vision, right? So whenever you are getting into the second part of your project, try to build this kind of concept or framework for the services what you want to create, right? Basically, it has 4 components. Obviously, we'll start with the customer first, right? Anytime you want to design a service, design a product, right? First part is always customer. So customer here means target market segments. So obviously, you have to first ask whom I'm going to serve. If this is my service, which is my target customer, target market segment, right? Currently, is there any service provider who are providing this kind of services, right? Think about today's this. I have given you the class exercise about Byju's, right? So you have to create this. I'll also show you an example, but let us get through the definition, then we'll look into the example first. So if you think about what will take, let's say, because I've given you Byju's, so I'm not going to give you that example. Let us talk about Zomato, right? Or a fast food restaurant, any fast food restaurant what providing, right? So when they are defining what kind of services they are going to provide, obviously it is a fast food restaurant. For Zomato, it will be a delivery system, right? They are providing a service where customers can order food, right? They need not have to go to the restaurant. So when Zomato first entered the market, they look into who will order food, right? Most of the people in India, maybe 5 years, 10 years back, were not habituated or did not know that, okay, we can order food from outside, right? Most of the people either they'll eat food at home or sometimes they'll go to a restaurant, right? So that concept itself was new, right? Now you have to educate customers. Okay, this is the situation. You are at home, you can, rather than going to a restaurant, if it is raining or if you are busy, you can just order the food, right? Then now the question is, who will order food? Maybe college student, maybe bachelors, those working class people who are working from morning to night, they won't have much time to cook food, right? So that customer segmentation first has to happen, whether it is a demographic or psychographic, right? So you have to define those segmenting variables. First, find out who is going to use your services. If it is Zomato, obviously right now it is not that Zomato, everybody is using that, but who will be their major customers? Maybe student, maybe the IT employees, right? Those who, it is not that families are not ordering, but regular customers will be most of the time these group of people, maybe between 18 to 30, right? It is not that more than 30 or less than 18 people are not ordering, but who will be in major segment? This group of people 18 to 30 or 18 to 35, right? Who are either in graduation or final year of their graduation, or employed, not married. Most of the time they eat outside food, right? So they will be major customer segment, right? Then you will ask a question whether other companies are there, whether there are any competitors in that segment. When Zomato started, there might not be Uber Eats or Swiggy or any other company, but there might be some local kind of food delivery system. So whom they are serving, right? So you have to think in that way. If nobody is there, then that is a very good market to enter, right? So that is the first part you have to ask yourself, right? Before you get into any service design part, who are my target market segment and whatever their need is, right? how well they have been served, whether there are companies which are providing, providing those kind of services, right? Then now, if there is a gap, right? If nobody is there, then very good. This is a very new service concept. I know customers need it. Then I'll provide that. But let's say there are already companies which are providing those kind of services, right? In most of the cases, it will happen like that, right? There will be always competitors who are already providing those kind of services, right? Now you'll ask yourself how you are going to differentiate yourself, right? So that is here that marketing strategy will come. So if you think about this first two part, target market segment and service concept, these two part are the marketing part, service marketing part. Operating strategy and service delivery system will get into the operations part, right? So we start with asking who are our customers, what are their needs. Now we are saying if that need has not been fulfilled, what is our service concept? For Zomato, it will be providing a delivery service, providing a platform through which customers can order food sitting at home or office, right? And food will be of quality, so that quality check will happen from Zomato and all those things. So that is the service concept, right? And again, you have to put in a language so that customer also understands it, because 10 years back when Indian customers were not oriented with ordering food online, so you have to educate them through features or through examples, right? Saying that how it works, right? Same thing started with like when Ola or Uber started, right? The sharing part, right? So you have to educate through small customer segment videos, right? Okay, this is how the
Excuse me,
service
sir.
works. Yes, yes.
So this service concept, it is related to value proposition of the company. What value, what
Yes, yes,
services or products they are providing,
yes,
and
yes,
the differentiation from the market.
yes, exactly that. Yes. So creating, communicating, delivering value, right? So that is the definition of marketing that is being written here, right? So like, or you in other way you can talk about what is your value proposition, what is your, so in product we talk about that value proposition concept, right? So you are talking about the service concept. How exactly you are different from your competitors if competitors are there. If competitor is not there, you are like first to the market, right? So what is your service concept and why a customer should take your service, right? You have to always think from the customer point of view, right? So if somebody is ordering food online, right, what benefit is getting? Obviously the effort is reduced, right? Second part, customer will have concern, array, somebody is just sending the food, whether somebody will open and eat my food or somebody, how should I guarantee that that food is will remain hot, right? So those kind of doubt customer will always have. How you are clarifying that doubt? So you have to make certain promises. So we'll make those quality checks. Our delivery boy will make sure that that has been wrapped properly, right? At the end, there will be a feedback system where you can provide a feedback for restaurant and delivery person, right? So that will become your service concept, right? So each whatever customer doubt is there, right, to get your service, right, you are basically answering that, right? Customer doubt is how will you deliver food, right? So there will be a delivery person who will go and deliver food at your home. He will give you a call, right? You need not have to like kind of call him like kind of from beforehand. So those are your service concept, right? So target market segment, you define customer, you try to find out whether competitors are there or not. If competitors are not there, very good. If competitors are there, what kind of products or not product, what kind of services they are providing, right? Now you build your service concept. Okay, so you say that okay, these are the competitors services. How am I going to differentiate it? How am I going to communicate this to my customers, right? And obviously the delivery part, right? So these two parts are basically the marketing concept, target market segment and service concept. Once you say that okay, these are the services I'm going to provide, right? Then how we are going to measure it, how we are going to deliver it. So that will become your operating strategy, right? What results? So this is what you are asking, right? So if you say that okay, these are the customer competitor services and these are going to be my services, right? What are the different points, right? On terms of cost, in terms of price, in terms of quality, right? Because that is the question based upon which differentiation part will come, right? here the difference is, here you say that, okay, yes, my services will be different, but by how much? Obviously, you cannot say that, okay, I'll provide the best quality service with lowest cost, right? So now you have to say, my services. So when I say operating strategy, you have to define those KPIs. You have to say what are my matrices. So you'll say that because next example is about the airline. Think about Indigo. The example is about Southwest Airlines. It is similar to Indigo, like in USA that was Southwest. Indigo basically copied their concept here. So Indigo promises certain things, right? Indigo says that there won't be any cancellation. 99% your ticket is confirmed. There won't be, because other flights generally get cancelled. So Indigo Airlines are promising something that tickets up to 99% guarantee that it will not get cancelled. Waiting time is very less. So otherwise, most of the aircraft, what happens, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hour delay, which generally, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but less in Indigo, right? That is something which is their operating strategy. That is how they have put those matrices. 99, 1% chance of cancellation, not more than 30 minutes of waitage, right? If Zomato want to kind of put their operating strategy, they have to define it like that, right? Within 30 minutes delivery, no matter, or within maximum 45 minutes of delivery. Quality as equal as a restaurant, as you get that food in a restaurant, right? So you have to define those matrices, right? So that is your operating strategy, right? Because that is how you differentiate yourself from the competitors. Indigo differentiated themselves. So the main reason of, they are obviously price was one of the reason, but there are also other low cost Deccan Airlines, other low cost airline. But what mistake they did? Low cost, low quality, right? So what Indigo did? Low cost with reasonable quality. It is not that they provide world class facility, but reasonable quality. Waiting time was less, cancellation was less, right? Which other airlines could not do, right? Then you will ask yourself, if I am promising these are the 2 or 3 things, right, on which most effort will be concentrated, on my employees, on my technology, right? So that is your, because let's say if it is a service, if it is a restaurant, right, whether you will focus more on the raw material, the raw items from which food is prepared, or on the waiter who are serving food or who are preparing food, or the physical outlets, right? So because see, you cannot invest in everything, right? So you won't have ever that much money to invest in everything. So you have to define, okay, this is something which I need to prioritize because that is most important, right? So based upon that, where your investment will be made, how will quality and cost control measures, incentives, rewards, right? Because unless you can measure, so I'm setting up quality, I'm setting up certain KPIs, I'm saying 99% times there won't be any cancellations, there won't be more than 30 minutes of wait time for customers, right? So regularly every day I have to measure that. If I'm meeting, my employees are able to meet that, I'll provide them incentives. Otherwise, so most of the MACD or KFCs, right? So there will be employee of the month, employee of the week, right? So otherwise those reward recognition systems are there. Why employees will be motivated to provide those similar kind of services every day? So that thing, your operating strategy need to be operating strategy. Those things should be taken care under operating strategy, right? You have to measure what you have promised, and if you are succeeding in that, right, you have to reward your employees, right? So that will be in your operating strategy, right? Now operating, so service delivery system, how you are going to deliver whatever service concept you have told and whatever promise you have made. So when I'm saying my airline, but Zomato says that every delivery there won't be any delay more than 30 minutes, right? So that is my operating strategy, because that's how I'll differentiate myself from the Swiggy, because in Swiggy most of the orders are delayed. So now what Zomato promises, let's say I don't know whether Zomato has that promise. My operating strategy will be, it will be delivered within 30 minutes time, right? That's how I differentiate myself from the customer, right? So to meet that promise, if I say that delivery will be within 30 minutes, how many delivery guys I require? how many delivery personals I require, what kind of vehicles I require, right? Because with limited number of employees, limited number of delivery guys, it won't be possible, right? Or do I need a technology of drone, right? Because I know that traffic will be much more. Let us start with the drone delivery system, right? So that is where your service delivery system will come into picture. Whatever promise I'm making in operating strategy, how am I going to deliver it, right? Role of people, so employees, technology, equipment, layout, processes, right? Then again, like your capacity management, right? You know that in weekend traffic will be much more. How many employees will be there? How many drones will be there? Weekdays, how many employees will be there because not many load, right? Rainy season, all those things you have to look into. Like right now, COVID happened, right? Lockdown happened, shutdown happened. What kind of permission you have to take? What kind of, because if you see in Zomato and Swiggy, they used to do this temperature checking, right? So those part will come under your service delivery system checkups, right? Then obviously checkups again has to happen, whether you are able to kind of, if I am keeping 1,000 employees, how am I compared to Swiggy? Because Swiggy is able to manage within 300, 200 employees, right? So again, those parameters need to be compared. What kind of technology Swiggy is using and what Zomato is using, right? So those service delivery system need to be compared. Let's say banking services. So if you see banking services when compared, so people talk about how many ATM machines are there. If I compare SBI and ICICI Bank or Axis Bank, one of the key comparison is number of ATM machines, number of branches. Because if I'm telling that, okay, whichever city, if my service concept is, I'll provide services in each city. So operating strategy will be across all the cities, right? I'll have at least minimum every state, these many branches, right? And it will be 24/7. It will be always open. Now to maintain 24/7, if I say that because most of the banks in India is 8 to 8, maybe private banks from 8 to 8, government banks, I don't know. So now what I'm telling, even in night time, any emergency fund requirement is there, you can come to my bank and I'll provide those services. Let's say that is my service concept. So my operating strategy will be 24/7 banking facility across all the cities in India. To make it happen, what will be my delivery system? So now employees, so obviously single employee cannot be there for 24 hours. So shift arrangement has to be there. 2 shifts, employees will are in 2 shifts, right? For them, food arrangement need to be there. So all those part will come under service delivery system, right? So that you can meet your operating strategy. If you meet your operating strategy, whatever promise you made by the marketing people, right? Service concept, right? So that has been made, right? So we start with market segments. That means our customer. Based upon that, we define our service concept. Whatever service concept or whatever promises we are making, that will get detailed out in operating strategy. How we differentiate ourselves from our competitors, right? Then how we execute that. That will be the delivery part. That is the service delivery part. Is this part clear or any doubt? So think about the Southwest Airlines is Indigo. Like in India, Indigo. Indigo basically copied their concept, right? So when they started with one state in Texas, right? So their target market segment was that state of Texas resident. So what used to happen, right? Smaller cities do not, most of the like kind of USA, they have a very poor public transport system. They don't have much like if in Odisha, West Bengal, Bihar, or wherever any state I go, we might not have that much good public transportation system, but at least private transportation system, buses, taxis, and all those things are amply available, right? But in USA, most of the people drive by themselves, or they will have their airport, so they will like travel from point A to B. So what happens in smaller cities, right? They don't have much branded or much bigger airlines because number of passengers are less, right? So what happens? Most of the business customers will drive for 7, 8 hours, 9 hours. They'll drive on on Sunday, work for Monday to Friday. Then on Friday night, they'll come back to their hometown, right? So that was the general trend, right? Because smaller cities won't have Now most of the cities have the airports, but that time it is back in 1980s, right? 1980s, 90s. So these were the target market segments. Similarly, inexpensive family travel on weekend. If you want to travel from like Texas to a little bit outside, near to the sea, again you don't have much choice rather than drive on your own, right? Because those public transport, they don't have a very good rail network system. In India, if you want to travel any state to another state, you have a very good rail network system. In USA, it is very poor. They do not have a good this. They have in some cities like New York, Chicago, they have a very good public transportation, but in other states it is very poor. So that's how what happened. Most of the people drive on their own, even from the like kind of teens start driving, have their own car and start driving, right? So these Southwest Airlines, they wanted to kind of fight with American Airlines, which was the major leader in that air transportation industry. So what they started, their service concept was short flights with frequent departures, right? Because the smaller cities, American Airlines was not there, right? 1 hour, half an hour, not half an hour, maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour travel, right? So they started that concept, those 45 minutes, 1 hour flight concept. Bigger this American Airlines, they will provide you lunch, breakfast, because flight will take 6 hours to 8 hours, right? From one state to another, right? Because they only travel longer distances, right? Here, what they told, because it is a 45 minutes, 1 hour, you need not have to prepare, like provide lunch or breakfast or dinner, whichever time. You just provide certain snacks, right? Huge inner city or low traffic airports avoid congestion, because bigger cities obviously will have already competitors, right? So they got into the smaller cities, right, where congestion is not there, low air traffic also, carry on luggage, because it is a small flight, right, 45 minutes or 1 hour. So what they told, only carry on luggage, whatever 7 kgs or 10 kgs you can carry on with yourself. So there is no boarding other part of the luggage, right? 15 kgs or 20 kgs, they did not allow, right? So now what was that to build this service concept to promise? So this is the promise, right? These are the what they are going to provide to customer. On that, what was their operating strategy? Quick turnaround at gate results in high utilization aircraft. American Airlines maybe 1 or 2 flights in a day. So because right now what you are doing, you are traveling 1 hour from one city to another, again 1 hour back. So in a day, you might get into 4 or 5 going and back, right? So right now what happens, your aircraft utilization, pilot utilization, hostess utilization also increases. In bigger airline industry, what happens? It will be a longer flight of 6 to 8 hours. Then pilot and air hostess will take rest. The aircraft also will be grounded for 6 to 8 hours. Then they'll return. In this case, what they did, continuously for 3 to 4 trips will happen. Same timing, 6 to 8 hours, right? Then only the rest, like the pilot and air hostess will take rest for the day or whatever half a day. No assigned sitting rewards punctuality and promotes on time performance. This is an interesting strategy. So what happens? You have a service concept. You are a short flight, 45 minutes, 1 hour. Now what happens? Whichever customers reaches fast, they are in the, so boarding pass concept is not there. So you reach there, you like buses happens, right? Buses like in villages and small cities, buses happen. You put your handkerchief. Similarly here, what happens? Obviously there is no handkerchiefs in this way, but whoever reaches first, he will get whatever seat he wants inside the aircraft, right? So there is nobody there in the gate to give a boarding pass and all those things. Obviously there will be a pass, but without any sitting arrangement. Otherwise you have to schedule, okay, I have 45 seats, this person is asking for a window seat, this person is asking for an aisle seat. Lot of scheduling will happen. Here what happens? Whichever customer comes first, you are providing whatever seat is available, he or she will take that, right? Then how you are going to deliver what you promised, right? Fun cabin atmosphere to differentiate service. So that is again the employee part, right? Because that will how you'll attract, and that is one biggest part rather than other physical infrastructure or the equipment part, right? Southwest Airlines is known for that like friendly nature, right? Fun atmosphere inside cabin. So Boeing 737, exactly same concept Indigo did. Rather than using bigger aircraft, which was running empty, they started using smaller aircraft and similar aircraft. What happens if you have similar aircraft? Equipment cost anyhow it will be same, right? But maintenance cost, the component you can buy in bulk. Maintenance, whatever components regularly you need, you can buy in bulk. Imagine if you have different aircraft from different companies, right? From Boeing, from Airbus, what happens? For some maintenance will be some different component. For other aircraft maintenance, there will be some different component. Here they standardized it. Same concept Indigo Airlines implemented. All aircrafts right now, I think all the airline companies are doing that. They try to standardize the aircraft they're using rather than keeping different kind of aircraft, right? Higher cabin crew based on attitude, because that is something they promised, right? That it will be a fun atmosphere, shorter distance, right? So you have to make people believe that okay, they can fly for 1 hour. That concept was not there in US. Most of the people used to drive. Okay, 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers, let us drive. Now, if only it is 800,000 or 1200 kilometers or miles, then only you will book a flight. Now you have to kind of attract them.